Well, it's nice to be back out there on the practice field. It feels like football again. We were excited, and players were excited. A lot of spirit and energy, and I couldn't wait. So I'm sorry you guys all can't be here in person. I can here in person, but I'll just let you guys fire away.
Charles, go ahead.
How did the first day of practice go? What did you work on?
It's really hard to do a whole lot of football stuff, 11 on 11 group work, because we're not in pads. The NCAA permit us only to wear helmets as the only, and we can wear those light spider pads that really aren't shoulder pads, but it just protects those guys in case they run into each other, which is nice to have. But a lot of fundamentals, a lot of new coaches. So new coaches still just getting in the groove, getting to know these guys, learning the offense and defense, and players getting accustomed to a new voice and somebody else coaching them. But I thought the spirit was great. Guys were flying around and been trying to practice hard. They were enthusiastic and excited to be out there, and it's just really difficult to get an evaluation. We did some 11-man stuff offensively and defensively. There's no interaction other than a short 5-minute skelly period, and everybody just staying off the ground. But it's good. It's good to have some competition and interaction and be able to have guys in different colored jerseys going against you. But for the rest of practice, it was all same color jerseys on each side. So offensive guys scouting for offense and same on the defense.
Jeff, given the personnel losses, are there any position groups in the team that you really need to see something from this spring?
I think there's a lot of positions where we'd like to find out more about some young guys that are going to have to provide depth. The inside linebacker position, we lost Eric Smith, who was a 3-year starter, terrific player, and so see who's going to step up there. Nose guard Nolan Cockrell, and what a impact player he was for us at that position, and trying to sort out just kind of who those guys are going to be up front, and we need to find out something there. Brandon Walters, losing him, he's just such a steady guy, and he just did it all for us. Chuck Martin, who's the coach at Miami of Ohio, he asked me about one guy before the game last year, and that was Brandon Walters. He's just so impressed with all the different things that he did. We'll miss Zach Harding, and I wish we never had to punt, but inevitably we're probably going to have to at some point, and he was such a weapon for us. So a lot we need to find out there. There's other positions like that. Losing Christian Anderson, his leadership, and that he's such a veteran guy. But it's great to have guys like Tyler back and Cade Ballard and guys that have played. So, we'll see. The O-line lost some guys there, and we'll miss those guys for sure. But there's enough in that group that have played that it's not void. We're just going to have some guys developed to provide the depth.
Have you switched anyone to new positions as a tryout or a look-see?
We moved Maurice Ballon, who was a quarterback, to slot. We moved Markel Johnson, who didn't play at all last year. He's a scout team guy, from slot to B-back just to look at him. Let's see here. I'm trying to think if there's any major guys that you guys would recognize. Not any major impactful moves. Defensively, there's some guys that were playing end last year, might play nose. Some guys that played outside linebacker might end up playing end. We'll find that out as the spring season goes along, but not a whole lot of change. I think just bringing those guys along that have played the positions that they're at, and try to get them to develop, and again, like I said, be guys that can provide depth, guys that can step in and play and be special teams players. So we'll see. There'll probably can be some position changes as we go through it, because guys will get hurt and we'll have a need, or we'll see that it's really not working out at a certain position for a guy and we want to move him to another position, so that may happen.
Sure, and then one more personnel question. Any injury updates, and are you holding out any players or limiting reps on some guys this spring?
We're going to limit reps, particularly in the interaction periods with a lot of guys. So there's just some players that have played enough football that they don't need to go in there and pound in 11-on-11 periods against the other side of the ball to have themselves ready to play. And they need to get some reps. Well, everybody's going to get reps. Everybody's going to practice that's healthy enough to do that. But we're going to limit some of those guys that have played, and that will open up opportunities for guys who haven't played as much to get evaluated. But in terms of injury reports, there's guys that are on and off the injured list each day. That things happen in the weight room, or things happen on the practice field, or things happen in a workout, and then there's other guys that are coming along and recovering from off-season procedures that have kind of set them back a little bit, and they're either out there on a limited basis or we got to hold them for a little while. Thanks, Ken.
Good afternoon, Coach. Charles Reeves here with GoBlackNights.com. Good to see you.
You too, Charles. Thank you.
I know that it's early in the process, but we've gone through the winter strength and conditioning program, along with what other winter progressions, if you will. Coming into this spring session, is there a level of excitement and enthusiasm about what you've seen over the winter in any of those programs, and along with the personnel that's returning this year?
Our guys get excited to go in the weight room. I think we got a great culture in there. Coach Hughes and that staff does a tremendous job. They do a tremendous job leading that room. And when the guys go in there, they're fired up. And I think that contributes to the gains that they make. And we've got a strong football team. And they're not there's other football teams that are going to walk guys in there, maybe outlift our guys, but just generally overall, I think we got a good, strong football team. And it's because they work really hard in there. And that gives them confidence when they take the field in the spring, and it'll give them confidence as they take the field in the fall. And so that's it's been fun to watch those guys. And when we had those max days and everybody's fired up, it's a lot of fun. So the enthusiasm and the energy, I think coming out of that off-season weight program, it just carries into spring ball. Our guys were really excited to get out there on the field, and there's guys that are excited to have a chance to compete. They played on the scout team last year, or maybe they were a special teams guy and didn't see much action on offense or defense, and they know this is a chance for them to really kind of position themselves for the fall. And there are some veteran guys, and I think we got some good leadership. I'm excited about the guys that we have in those positions. But when you graduate good players as we did, and guys that have played a lot, there's going to be a void that needs to be filled, both on the field and off the field in terms of leadership, and then the production that they have for us on Saturday afternoon. So I'm confident we'll have guys that'll step up, but there's just going to have to be some guys that come along and improve to be able to play at the level that some of those graduating seniors did.
And kind of segue into what you just stated, are there any young players that you can probably name at this stage that stepped up maybe during the winter progressions, and what key positions are currently up for grabs, especially losing the likes of Aaron Smith and Nolan Cochran, just to name a couple?
So those are two positions those are two really good players, and hopefully we've got guys on our team that can step up and play at that level. It's going to be a challenge for them, or any of our guys, to do that, because those are two really good football players. But there's been a lot of guys that have made some significant gains in terms of their strength and conditioning. How that will translate into what they do on the field is another story. And so I think probably after next Saturday, we'll have a chance to get out there in pads and get a little bit more of the schemes installed and have a practice practice where we can have some interaction next Saturday, we'll have a better idea of who's really come along. But there's been a significant change in a lot of our young guys, especially our freshmen and some of those sophomores, and what they've done in the off season. But that's kind of a common theme. Those guys come in here and they go through beast barracks and they go through their fall season as freshmen, and it's hard. It's hard to develop. It's hard to gain all that weight back that sometimes they have a tendency to lose when they're going through summer training. But once they gain it back as freshmen, then they keep it. It stays on, and it's kind of fun to see those bodies transform. There's a local guy here, Rafferty, and he's from Newburgh Free Academy. I've been really impressed with how he's developed, just his body, and he's completely changed. People that know him in high school, if they hadn't seen him since high school, they wouldn't recognize him. So, that's one guy that's just a local guy that I'm really proud of and excited that he's on our team. I'm looking forward to watching him compete this spring.
My follow-up and final question, honestly, Coach, I think the proverbial question of fans now there since the end of the 2021 season, who will emerge as a starting quarterback? Obviously, I'm not looking for you to answer that right now, but can you talk about the process in which you will take to determine who will start? Do you see maybe utilizing the alternating quarterback scenario as well?
We'll just kind of have to see if that's something that will benefit us. I don't know about the alternating quarterbacks. I think it's a lot easier to alternate quarterbacks in our system than maybe somebody else's, and more whatever traditional football is these days. Tyler's going to be hard to beat out just because he's played so much, but there are some things that some of those other guys do that make them really valuable and may allow them to be the starter, and maybe Tyre's that guy that's the second guy in the rotation, and maybe two of them will beat him out. I don't know. Experience is hard to beat. It's the most difficult thing to compete with if you're a guy that hasn't played a lot. But I have always been and continue to be impressed with Cade Ballard. He's such a great leader and really smart, tough kid. Throws the ball so well, and I'm excited to see him. I know he's going to compete really, really hard for the job. Jemele Jones, who has some experience playing, has played for us and made some plays. He's one of the strongest players we've got, certainly pound for pound. He's a very physical guy, and he's been around here long enough that he knows the offense really well. Bryson Daly, who's a freshman, played on the scout team. I'm maybe as excited about watching him this spring as I am anybody. He looks like a linebacker, a big, thick guy, throws a good football, and he's a really good leader. He had a really good prep year for us 2 years ago, and watching him. Alon Mitchell's another guy that's a freshman, very talented. So we'll watch all these guys and just kind of see how it plays out over the spring. Tyre's one of those guys that we're probably gonna watch the reps. He's played enough. I don't know that he's gonna do anything in the spring that's gonna give us a better evaluation than what he's done against other people on Saturday afternoons. So it'll give those other guys a chance to really compete.
Thanks, Coach.
And Coach Ken Kraetzer, SALRadio, good to see you. Just when you evaluated last season, you had ups, you had a few downs, a few disappointments. Were there things that you decided that you had to do to improve the program to get to another level?
Well, I think we evaluate each one of those games separately, and I don't know that there was an overarching theme with the 4 games that we lost. That there were just things in each one of those that we didn't do as well as we could have, and give the other teams credit. They made plays and beat us. They made more plays than we did, and that's how you win a football game. We've had in some of those games we turned the ball over, and it was costly. In some of those games we gave up some big plays, and whether it was in a kicking game or on defense, it cost us. And so we got to find ways to not make the mistakes that probably have more control over. Certainly hanging on to the ball and securing the football, doing better with the ball exchanges, being in position fundamentally where we need to be to at least be in position to make a play. And sometimes the kicking plays or the defensive plays where we had big plays against us, guys not playing very well fundamentally, either by assignment or the things that go along with that position. So that's not an excuse. Those are the reasons that it didn't happen, and give the teams that we played credit. They made the plays. They put themselves in position to make the plays. So we got to figure out how to do that. Big plays for or against are a big factor in winning football games, and certainly turnovers are a big factor in winning football games. And so those were maybe some common themes with the games that we lost.
Now, a couple of assistant coach changes. Certainly Mike Vitti moving to offensive line. Maybe take us through a couple of the changes in your coaching staff.
So we've got a lot of new coaches. So defensively, we hired Scott Sloan, who was the defensive coordinator at Georgia Southern, to come in and coach the safeties and be the co-defensive coordinator. He really took Sheil Wood's spot. Sheil left to be the defensive coordinator at Troy, and it's a great opportunity for him. We wish him well. And then Sean Cronin, who was the defensive line coach at Colorado State last year, came in to coach our defensive line. And glad to welcome him. He's a veteran coach. He does a really good job. And then offensively, moving Coach Vitti. We lost Sanga Tuateli. He took the O-line job at Fresno, and which is great for him and his family. He's from California. He's closer to his folks, and we were sad to lose him, but happy for him and his family. But we really felt like, we talked about this in the past, how good of a football coach Mike Vitti is, and what a great job he does developing people and building relationships, and the respect that our players across the board, not just on offense where he'd been coaching the running backs, but across the board have for him. And I think it was just a great move for us and for him to be able to go to the offensive line and work with Coach Davis. We hired Blake Powers, who's been working in an off-the-field role for us, to take Mike's place and coach the B-backs. He knows our culture. He's been around here. He has had a big impact on us signing a lot of the players and guys on this roster. He had a big hand in getting them here. So I think that was a really good move. And then at the wide receiver position, we hired Aaron Smith, who coached the wide receivers last year at UConn. Really impressed with him. His dad was actually the garrison commander here at West Point when he was growing up, and he went to high school at O'Neill, and so he's kind of coming back home. And I've just really enjoyed watching him coach. He's doing a really good job. And then Jason Nichols joined us from East Carolina, coach slot backs. So we've had some moves, but we got a great defensive coordinator, Nate Woody. We'll get all those guys on the same page. We got a great offensive coordinator, Brent Davis, who knows this offense as well as anybody, and he'll get those guys up to speed. And they're all good coaches, and they're all working really hard. I've already had a chance to see them all recruit, and very impressed with the job they do there. So I'm encouraged and excited about this season coming up with those guys.
Sure. Just to ask about Andre Carter. Certainly had a great season last year with sack production, and this year as a senior. What would you like to see him do to improve his game?
Oh, I think there's probably things that Coach Woody and Coach Luce and Andre himself recognize as ways to get better and ways to improve. And rather than talking about those publicly, we've talked about them with him, but he's a really talented player. And the good news is he's still not as good as he can be. There are little things for him that he can do to improve and get better. And the great thing about Andre is he is so humble. Every day he stops by Coach Woody's office after practice and wants to ask about what he can improve or something he did, or can I look at this one play with you? And he's a guy that takes a lot of pride in being the best he can be, and got to admire that for a guy that's an All-American.
Sure. Connor Bishop, your center, had to overcome some injury issues last year. How do you see his game performing, improving, but also just getting healthy?
He needs to get healthy and be his very best. He is going to be the leader of that offense and that offensive line. He really is already kind of, you just see that ability to take charge and almost be like a captain. We haven't voted on captains yet, but he just operates that way. Guys have so much respect for him. He does a great job as a player. He's incredible in the classrooms, in his coursework, and it carries over up here. He's a really smart football player and can grasp the concepts like a veteran player should, and guys like Bryce Holland and Brett Toth, and where they really became very well versed in the offense. That's where he's at, and he was like that last year. He just the injury really slowed him down, and I hated he had to work through that. But if we can keep him healthy, I think he's going to make a huge impact on our football team.
And his final question: the impact you mentioned, Brent Toth. The impact several players have had in the NFL. Cole Christensen, Elijah Riley, and then Alejandro Villanueva just announcing his retirement after a tremendous career in the NFL.
We're really, really proud of all those guys having that opportunity to play at the next level. Ali actually came and talked to our team last week, and it was a thrill for our guys. And he just talked about what this place means to him and playing Army football and serving in the Army, and just so passionate about right back and serve. And he's just passionate about his connection with Army and Army football. So proud of those guys. John Radigan, like you said, and Cole and Elijah and Brett Toth. Looking forward to those guys next year, and hopefully they'll make a team. And I think we got some seniors that might have a chance this year. So we just had our pro timing day a couple days ago, and hopefully those guys will have an opportunity as well.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Ken.
Beginning of the 2021 season, Coach Woody got a lot of praise when he came to linebacker Jemele Jones, but last year, injury prone, down for most of the year. Can you talk about his current status today?
He's still injured, and we're holding him right now. I don't know that he's going to be able to participate in spring drills. We're hopeful that he will. Just uncertain about that right now. Yes, thank you. Thanks, Charles.
And Ken, last question.
Yes, Jeff, we had Markel and Jacoby in here earlier. Can you just offer a few words about each of them? In particular, Jacoby's told us that he's dropped about 15 pounds and would like to go a bit more. The test is explosiveness. My question is, why mess with a good thing?
Oh, I think he's got to feel good. He's got to feel comfortable in the body that he's in. And if he feels like cutting some pounds might help him, may help him when he breaks out of there and gets to the second level, have the opportunity to take it the distance or be able to gain more yards running away from people, it's fine. I mean, if he's 250 pounds or 270 pounds, he's going to be a load and hard to tackle. We'll see how it goes, and we're not directing him to do that. We haven't said we think you should do this. It's something he felt like would help his game and help him improve, and so, like I said, he's been 250 and he's been 270, and we'll see where he feels the best. But he's tough to tackle, I know that. So hopefully that'll continue. And then with Marquell, I don't know if there's been a more dynamic leader here than him. That guy he's just an incredible young leader. We're really fortunate to have him on our team. He's a good player. He just makes himself a good player. Marquell Broughton isn't the most talented player at his position in the country. He may not be the most talented player on our team at his position. I don't know. He's talented enough, but he takes every ounce of ability he has, and he maximizes that potential. And he is a great leader. He brings the best out of everybody around him, and he does that in a way that coaches can. There's just something different about leadership coming from within the ranks, And when there's a player that can do that and bring the best out of his teammates, extremely valuable. And he does that as well as anybody that has been here in my 8 years.
Mark did say that there are already players who are stepping up into kind of leader positions, maybe not as captains officially, but how beneficial was his year as a junior captain, and how important is his role as the lone captain at the moment for your spring ball?
Well, he is, and he's the guy everybody turns to. I do. I lean on him. Our players do. And he's a very courageous leader. He is not afraid to say what needs to be said. He doesn't worry about hurting feelings and tiptoeing around it. What needs to be said, he will say. But he's got a personality that the guys, they not only respect him, but they like him, and they want to please him. And that makes him a really effective captain, for sure.
Can you tell us about Pro Day, how it went, who impressed?
It went really good. And all those guys that participated, we had a handful of guys that participated and did really well. And I was just happy that they had the opportunity to do that and have that experience, to be in front of NFL scouts and to be able to get their height and weight and their 40 time and their change of direction drills and get those all recorded where NFL teams will have access to those numbers. What an exciting time for those guys. I don't know if any of them will make it. I hope that they do. I hope they all make it. But I think there's some guys on our team that played last year that got a shot, and if they get into camp, I think they'll impress the coaches and the guys that we've got on NFL teams right now. None of those guys were 5-star guys and had 26 offers coming out of high school. They were guys who came here, worked really hard, developed, and became NFL players. And I think we got some guys in our senior class on our team that have done that as well. So hopefully they'll get the opportunity.
When do you find out about that?
I find out about
what seniors may actually end up going to camp.
That's all going to happen around the NFL draft. The draft will happen, and then in the hours and the day to follow, sometimes days to follow, guys will start to learn, if they have opportunities to sign a free agent contract and those kinds of things. So they're going to continue to work out and train and be ready in case anybody else wants to come in and work them out, and which there may be some follow-up workouts that come out of this. Hopefully there will. And then we'll see what happens.
And you think that there might be a couple that might get that opportunity?
I do.
And then lastly, I saw you were mentioning coaches earlier. Tucker Wall has moved from slot back coach to director of player personnel.
He's executive director of player personnel and recruiting, and nobody knows this place better than Tucker. He's been here forever, and he's this past season, this fall, he surpassed Red Blake coaching the most games as a football coach in Army football history. So he has been here a long time and has been a huge part of our success here, and so he's already doing a great job in that role and helping us move forward.
Was that a choice he made? I know it's personal, but I know he was having the medical difficulties. Is this something related?
We just felt like this was going to be best for both the program and Tucker as we move forward, and that's why we made the change. And he's incredibly valuable, beloved by everybody here, and so it just felt like it was the right move for both Tucker and for the program.
Colonel Blake got the field named after him. Does Tucker get a portion of the field named after him?
Well, I don't know about that, but I know he's made an impact on a whole generation of Army football players, and just his mental toughness and the example that